America!
Hello, America. Welcome to Angel and the Wiz, the most insignificant television show on TV today. See, at least I don't know what the significance of that is. This week's roller coaster is the Magnum XL. Oh, I could tell you a story about that.
Yeah.
And next week's is the Raptor, including its time-lapse construction.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Oh, let me turn the...
Okay. Technicalities.
I wanted to put the fan on so we'd be comfortable. Okay, so we should be back from our graphics and all that stuff today. I wanted to start to... Listen, I know that this is, I don't even know how we keep any viewers that we have. We probably have 5 people who watch the show, but to be that as it may, it's still fun to do, and,
Yes.
and I enjoy doing it, and it gives us a chance. Now, so I thought, what I wanted to start doing, because we did get into the campaign a while back.
Right, we kind of haven't gone into
We haven't got back to it. So what I want to try
and I kind of dropped the ball a little bit on that. I was supposed to look campaign finance and just things have gotten out of control this summer.
That's okay, no big deal. But what I want to do is I want to start each week, and I don't know, it's not going to be formal or anything else, but each week I want to do some Politics 101 for the, quote, low information voters. The people that...
Which could very well be our 5 watchers.
It could be, or not. Me, I think that the people that watch us probably maybe aren't, but I still want to do it.
You guys are smarter, thanks.
That's what I like to think. But I still want to do it because there's just too many people that don't appreciate how important voting is and how manipulative politicians can be. So that opens up the door for us to talk about and everything else. But before we go into that, on this show, 2 things I wanted to do.
Okay.
First thing is, let me say, Mackenzie.
Love you, girl.
I
Miss
got
you.
your email, and here it is. This is what she sent me. This is good, too. This is good. Commitment means staying loyal to what you said you were going to do long after the mood you said it in has left you. It's like...
That's a great thing, girl.
And it's like there's another thing. The character is what you do when no one's watching. Okay, so that's one of those statements, and I believe that that's very true. Now, I've had this bugaboo, this religion, politics, and roller coasters. This is great, okay? But I wanted to just touch one thing, because it's very, very important for you to understand something about religion. The Roman Catholic Church, the official Christian religion, was in about 300 AD, after 300 years after the Council of Nicaea. At that time, it was decided that they would change the message that Christ had from one of individual spirituality, an individual relationship with God, an individual relationship with all that, to a formal state-offered religion, where you must now go through. In other words, Jesus did not preach really so much that you had to go through him, but that you had to have the individual relationship with God.
Right.
Okay? And some of the things that he said has been misinterpreted. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed out that organized religion was created to give the power of God to the formal religion, the formal church, and not the individual. Because the way Christ really taught his teachings, it was that you have an individual relationship with God. You don't get it from anybody else. You don't even get it from him. The point that he was making when he says the only way to get to heaven is through, the only way to get to God is through me, is because at that time, he was the only person preaching that you could have your own personal, individual relationship with God. You didn't need anybody else. You didn't have to have a blessing from anybody else. You didn't have to be baptized by anybody else. You didn't have to stand together and sing. You didn't have to show up every Sunday. The relationship that you have with God is a personal one. You have it with the Lord. The Lord has it with you. That's it. If you want to go to church and be with people that you know and like and love, great. But that's not where you get God. That is not how you have a relationship with the Father.
That's true.
You have to have that relationship. And then you have it every place you go, and you have it all the time.
It's very true. Sometimes, for me, because I recently, in the last couple of months, rejoined a Catholic church because I felt that there was something missing, and I had tried going to different churches, and they just weren't my cup of tea.
Right, good for you.
I felt that I know, let me
Okay.
I know the Catholic Church is hypocritical.
Okay.
You know.
Maybe all churches
Yeah,
are.
they all are.
Okay.
But what I feel, at least for me, is that I'm, you know, and I was baptized and
Right.
confirmed Catholic. I'm like,
Right.
the church is hypocritical. Yeah, and so I choose to not partake in things that promote the hypocrisy.
Right.
But what was really getting me about these other churches that I went to
Right.
was that they were like the people who attended the church and outside of the church were preaching
Right.
the word of God,
Right.
were preaching the hypocrisy.
Okay.
And I don't like that.
Okay.
You know, you can say what you want to do inside the confined walls of that church.
Right.
And you can go out and you can teach people about God.
Right.
And you can teach them about what faith means.
Right.
But you can't go and preach equal rights. You can't go and say equal rights for all people, except you guys, because you can't get married.
Right.
You know.
Right.
No.
Right.
That doesn't
Right.
do it for me.
Right.
You know and that I'm going to take that into politics. There's the separation of church and state, which means
Right.
the state, the government, is
Right.
not going to tell you
Right.
that you have to believe in one faith.
And that's all it means.
Which is great.
That's
I
it.
love that. But you know, it also has to go vice versa.
But they apply it across the board indiscriminately and totally out of control.
The churches
Right.
should not be dictating to the state
Right.
what can and can't be considered law.
Right.
You know, and that goes back to
Sure.
the DOMA and the gay marriage and things like that.
Right.
I think that every single human being has the right to marry whomever they want.
Right.
You know, without, I should clarify that, because my niece and nephew will often say, my niece told me last week, I want to marry my brother. No, you can't do that.
Right.
You know, like, so there's that issue. But
And I'm listen. That's what I'm waiting for
Yeah.
now. Now that they've opened this can of worms, they're going to say, well, why? How come you're going to only have one wife or one husband? Why can't you have 5?
where
I mean-
does
I
it,
mean, that's-
where does it say in the governmental laws that you can't?
Well, there we have it's bigamy. Having more than one spouse is against the law.
Then there it is. It's against the law.
Okay.
You know, there it is. Now, because
But I don't think that's a
think
religious belief. I think that's just a law.
I think, yeah, I don't think that's it's when the religious leaders come in and say, well, you can't, gays can't marry because who gives a crap
Right.
what the Bible says about marriage? Because the Bible is not the governing entity of the United States government. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And the Bible and all of its 1,500 versions, and if you're going to take one religious book, and since
Right.
we have separation of church and state, if you take one book to be your governing entity, then you have to take the Quran, and then you have to take the Book of Mormon, and you have to take all of those other faiths and do that as well. Do you know
Treat
what I mean?
them equally, yeah.
You either treat all of them equally,
Right.
or you get rid of all of them. So I think whatever you as a person feel in your own religious belief
Right.
about marriage equality, that's fine. If you think it's between a man and a woman,
Right.
that's fine. And in your church, you can
Right.
have that rule.
Right.
But I think that if 2 gay men
Right.
go into a courthouse and say, I want to marry him,
Right.
that's fine, because the court
Right.
is not governed by any type of religious book.
Well, and now it's funny.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I've been
because
wanting
you're
to say-
talking.
I've been wanting to say that for a while, but there's never been on the
The
show. But there's
opportunity.
never been a good opportunity.
Well, listen. I believe in the individual.
Right.
Okay, like I don't like the fact that a court can step in and tell a bakery that they must make a cake for a gay wedding couple. What right does the court have to say that? Now, I understand it's a public business, but it's a privately owned public business. I could see that they could tell a governmental cake maker that you must do anybody, but a private business
And
should have the ability to make the cake for who they choose.
I agree with that.
They're saying that, well, but there was a place that was forced out of business because they wouldn't make a wedding cake for a gay couple. Why didn't they just go someplace else? Why did they have to make it an issue?
Probably because because they wanted to make it an issue.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's a
know?
misuse of power. That's a misuse of
I'm just
the
thinking
law.
about. I'm thinking about where we live, and even though the area we live in
Right.
is very liberal, and it's a
Right.
very, in the grand scheme of the state,
Right.
it's a very tiny area that's very liberal. So finding a cake maker
Right.
to make a cake for a gay wedding
Right.
is probably not a big deal.
Right. Here, no.
No. But if you go 15 miles south of here,
Right.
if you just even say, I'm gay,
Right.
expect to be bullied and chastised and
Right.
everything, because that is like it's awful.
You know, it's funny too.
And it's
I have
very
to,
frustrating. Like I had a friend of mine saying, I'm not going to vote for them just because they believe in gay marriage. And I'm like,
Good.
that's a great.
That's just one issue.
That's one issue. I said, so you're going to choose. I said, so that person maybe might be for gay marriage and against, like, I don't know, abortion. And so which one are you going to pick? Because your religious belief is against both. So you're going to pick the candidate who's against gay marriage and for abortion, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's...
And that's why it's all individual.
Yeah,
That's
I
why.
was just like, oh, and it just irritates. I actually lost a lot of respect for people around the last election because of things like that.
Well,
Because then that's why people say don't talk about politics.
yeah, it's
'cause
very
then
divisive.
Yeah, and I was just like, and I'm pretty accepting of
Right.
what your political beliefs are, but when you're, I just had issues with some of those people.
You know, it's funny too. I have to say that, like, okay, so I'm the old guy and you're the young girl, but I have to tell you that when I was growing up, and there were plenty of people that were gay, but nobody talked about it. Nobody, it wasn't an issue. If they were gay, they did their thing. Okay, they didn't champion it. They didn't run down the street. They didn't say you must change and allow us to do. In other words, they didn't ask for any more rights than other people had. At the same time, I understand, and I think sometimes that's why the screamers hurt the gay community, because they can be so obnoxious that they turn off those people that would normally not care.
Yeah.
See, that's what happens with the screamers, is they take people that don't have an opinion and force them to have one. And it's not the one they want. It's an opposite opinion. They turn people off. That's why I think that's unfortunate.
It's something I told my boyfriend. Was I telling him? We were having a conversation the other evening about, I don't even remember what it was, but I just said to him, I said, you can't force people to see something if they're not ready to look at it.
Yeah, true. I can believe that.
You can't force. It was a big
You have to
religious
educate
conversation.
people to
Yeah.
begin with. You can't force
He
them.
was saying things about, he's like, I don't know why I can't stand up and just like ask questions during a church service. And I said, because that's not respectful.
Yeah, because they are doing a
Yeah.
service. All these people are together.
Yeah.
That's not the forum for the question.
Right. I said, and he was like, well, that's what Jesus wanted us to do. And I was like, that's great. We're not Jesus, nor are we going to be like, and it was just, and he's like, well, I'm trying to show the people the actual truth. And I said, some of these people don't want to hear the truth, or they're not ready.
And you have to also keep in mind that whether we like it or agree with him or not, it's his truth. It may not be this person's
Right.
truth or that person's truth. So you have to be respectful of that.
And he was having a very hard time getting that. And it was very frustrating. But I did finally get into...
I used to call them Democrats, but I've come a long way.
You can't... You're an independent now, so I guess
I had to be. You know why I had to
allow
be?
it.
I had to become an independent
Because
there is
stupid.
just as many intolerant Republicans as there are Democrats that are just as bad. And I will tell you one thing too, and I don't care what anybody says about this. Here, let's go into our politics. This is every week we're going to have just a little segment, just like this in the middle of the conversation, and we'll go back to whatever we're talking about Politics 101. And what I want to talk about, and I want to do this as an illustrator. I'm trying to help you people learn. We're trying, Rush just came out with a book called Rush Revere and the Pilgrims, the story of the Pilgrims. And the liberals have immediately attacked, he announced it went to 1 on Amazon.com overnight, okay? But the liberals have immediately attacked him as his version of the reason we have Thanksgiving. It's not. All he's doing is telling the story that was written by the people that lived through it, okay? So I figure if he's going to reach out, I want to make sure on our tiny little show that we spread a little bit of education each week. So I want to give you just something, and then we'll go right back to our
maybe a teacher isn't enough?
No.
Just joking.
No, but I just want to, so each week, I just want to grab a minute or two out of whatever we're talking about, and we can go back to the church and all if you want. But I just want to talk about one thing in Politics 101 this week, and that is this. Voter ID. Okay? People that are running around, now please hear me. Don't just shut this off. Listen to me. Look at all the things you need a photo ID to do in your daily life every single day. Okay? And you may not use it every single day, but you know what I'm talking about. All the normal things you never give a second thought to. And now, there are people running around, I'm sorry most of them are Democrats, but that's the fact, that are saying, oh no, we can't have photo ID laws, we can't have voter ID laws because it hurts the minority community the most. Do you realize what they are saying? Really? What the words really are? You know, the Democrats have been, let me just
no, I agree with you.
Okay, the Democrats have been promising the black community the same stuff for 100 years and have never delivered on it. The only reason there was a Voting Rights Act is because the Republicans voted for it. The only reason there was a Civil Rights Bill was because the Republicans voted for it. The Dixiecrats and Southern Democrats were stone cold against it. You never would have had it if it hadn't been for the Republicans. But for some reason, the black people running around thinking the Republicans are their friends. Well, learn from this, those of you who haven't already got it. And I know that so many blacks are coming up. They're getting better educated. They're finding out more information. They're learning how they've been suppressed and manipulated. So hear me out, okay? To suggest that because you are a minority, you can't get a voter ID, you can't get a photo ID card. Every state that demands you have a voter ID card, that is a photo ID, will provide it to you for free. Every single state. There is no exception to that.
You just have to get to.
You have to be able to get there.
Agency, yeah.
And what they are suggesting, hear this. What they are really saying is, these minorities can't. They don't have the ability, or the know-it-all, or the sense, or the smarts to be able to go get a free photo ID card. And if I was you, I would be incredibly upset. Okay? Because it is the most insulting thing. They are suggesting you do not have, that you could vote, but you don't have the ability to go get a photo ID. They're not protecting you from anything. What they're protecting is their ability to manipulate the vote. So my words to you, this is the only thing I'm saying this week on Politics 101, and I'm out of it. Photo ID for voting is important, because it protects the vote. You must keep in mind that if just anybody can vote, then the vote has no value because it can be manipulated. And the people that run our lives, Republicans and Democrats alike, you know when they care about us? They care about us when it's time for us to vote. And let me tell you something. If they find a way to manipulate that, you will have no say in anything at all. Because once these people get elected, the only thing on earth they care about, except for maybe 20 of them, is getting reelected. They will say anything, they will do anything, they will promise anything, and they don't mean a word of it. All they mean is what they're saying when they promise you this, that, and the other thing is, vote for me. Okay? And one of the coming shows, we're going to talk about that too. You know, you got to know yourself. Find out what you believe, what you want out of life. And just don't buy into these false promises. Voter ID is not against the minorities. Voter ID is a way to protect the value of your vote. And to suggest that you don't have the ability, you're not adult enough, you're not capable of getting a photo ID card? It's insulting. If I was you, I would be incredibly insulted when somebody stands up and says, it hurts the minorities. Nonsense. They're good human beings. You think they can't get an ID?
Here's my question. Here's what I don't understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, when I registered to vote, I had to have, just to register, I had to have two forms of identification.
Yeah.
Okay? One had to be a photo ID and a social security card or something.
Right.
Like, I had to have two forms of identification. Then I get a voting card in the mail
Right.
about 3 to 3 to 6 weeks before it's time to vote, I get a little card that's,
Okay.
Here's your voter
Yeah, I got
ID.
one too.
Yeah. So I'm like, then I went to go vote, and I went to show them. I had both cards. I had my driver's license and I had my voter ID.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh no, we only need the voter card,
Right.
even though that doesn't have a picture."
Right.
And I'm like,
Well, see, now in this,
okay.
now see, usually what I find is they want to see something with a picture on it, okay? But they do ask for the voter ID. In other words, if you don't have the voter ID card, they're very happy to take the photo ID. But I think what they're assuming in this locale is that what you had to do to get that card has already demonstrated you had the ID.
Right.
Because you just can't get the card. But see, I would be the same as you.
Yeah, I'm like.
Makes me feel makes it weak.
And then which doesn't make sense that why because I've only really voted in this state.
Right.
So why is it such an issue in other states? Like, I don't understand why you have to.
You tell me, baby.
Yeah, I just don't understand some of the problems. But.
Well, actually, this is what they are doing to suppress the vote and manipulate the vote. By not having a photo ID, they hide behind that and claim that they are helping the minorities, which is often blacks and Hispanics, okay, that they're protecting them from losing every vote must count. But that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is allowing their vote to have less value because there are some places where you can register and vote the same day.
I don't agree with that.
It should have never been allowed. It should have never been passed. It's like when the politician in government negotiates with a public service union. That should never be allowed. And you know why?
Yeah,
because we who pay the bill aren't being represented. This guy ain't representing us because he's taking campaign contributions from the unions. Okay? So the only people at the table are the people that pay the bills. Us.
Right.
That's totally let me tell you, you don't ever elect me president, because you ever elect me president.
Wait, you can't say I'm running for president and then tell the public,
well, I'm just saying,
5 of your viewers to say don't elect me.
Well, I'm just saying that if you do elect
Write
me,
his button.
the first thing,
The whiz.
yeah, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to say that anybody that receives money from an entity cannot negotiate with that entity. It's a conflict of interest.
Very true.
You know, Chris, and if you union guys, you want to negotiate with these people, you got to find an ombudsman to do it, or somebody out here to do it, because the second you give him money, you own him. Okay, and the second you don't need a photo ID to vote,
Well,
your vote is worth.
The Secretary of Labor or something is gonna.
Yeah, to clean that up.
Yeah, that all they're gonna. You're in charge of the unions.
That's right.
If a union person wants to talk to somebody in the government, they have to go through the Secretary of Labor's office first.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just
to have the conversation.
Holy smoke!
We talk a lot.
Wow. Okay, well we got to get out of 25. We got a minute and a half. Wow. That went
a good
quick.
Conversation today.
Well, yeah, but we talked about important stuff, and we'll probably pick up on it next week, because I want to get. But I didn't mean, and I hope we didn't focus just on the politics thing.
Oh, no,
but
I
that
think
was
it's
something I
fine.
just wanted to get into.
The religion
because
and the politics
there's-
is
Yeah,
fine.
right. Religion, politics, and roller coasters. Perfect. Well, listen, let me tell you a neat story about the Magnum XL. You're about to see the Magnum XL. We got this from Dan Fike at Cedar Point Amazement Park, which is, they call it America's Roller Coaster. Wonderful people. They were kind and generous to me for many, many years. And you're about to go on the Magnum XL. And if I've told you the story before, please forgive me. But the short version is, there is something called ghosting, where if you know people and have friends, you can go on the ride after the park is closed and ride it in the dark. It's very cool. Well, the Magnum XL is taller than the space shuttle, okay? So there we are. They say, you want to go? Of course, we want to go. What are you kidding me?
Sure, let's go.
So we all got in, and the lady came with us too. And when we got to the top, now, when you see the Magnum XL, you're going to see that it's a metal roller coaster, and all it is the track, okay? So we get to the top of the roller coaster, and it stops. They forgot they had to have somebody down there to push the release button, And here we are, next to God, and they're trying to tell me, oh, it's okay, you can see Cleveland over there. And all I'm thinking to myself is, I got this crummy little chain. Tina had the bad seat, too. I mean, I was afraid I was going to die. Let me tell you, that changed my whole perspective on a lot of things. Until I had cancer, that was the closest I'd ever come to death. And it was enough, boy.
Nice.
When that happens, that's too much. Uh-oh, we have to go.
Bye, America.
Bye,
Do something good every day and volunteer at your local animal shelter.
Yeah, what she says.